Due to the graphic nature of the content in the following segment, mature audiences beware. For viewers that are searching for viable employment as citizens of the United States of America, the next 5 minutes may be unbearable to watch. Viewers' discretion is advised.
Welcome back to Hardball. President Trump promised during the campaign that he would hire the best people for the country. Here he goes.
We're going to deliver. We're going to get the best people in the world. You know, we have the greatest business people in the world. We don't use them. We're going to use our smartest and our best. We're not using political hacks anymore. That's the people that do these deals. They're political hacks.
We want experts, our finest people. We don't want people that are B-level, C-level, D-level. We have to get our absolute best.
But as Dana Milbank points out in the Washington Post today, he hasn't followed through on that promise one bit. He nominated Sam Clovis to be chief scientist at the USDA. Well, he's not a scientist, but he's a former talk show host, nothing wrong with that, and a Trump campaign advisor. And as he mentioned earlier, Clovis withdrew his nomination today due to his ties with the Russian investigation. Sid Buttigieg was hired as an assistant to the Secretary of Energy. Previously, he'd been manager of a Meineke car care branch. He has since been fired after his past anti-Muslim tweets were uncovered. Victoria Barton handles congressional relations for the HUD department. She's also worked as an office manager and a bar manager. And Christopher Hagan, a confidential assistant to the USDA, was a cabana attendant dealing with chairs and towels as recently as 2015.
Things that make you say...
I'm joined now by Dana Milbank, the author of that article, and a columnist for the Washington Post. Dana, how did you get the backgrounds of these people, which were so seemingly inappropriate? I remember when the president, had the head of the Arabian Horse Association run the Federal Emergency Management, which dealt with Katrina. That was a laugh. Where did he get this cast of characters?
A terrific group called American Oversight actually FOIA'd all of these resumes and overlaid it with who's been appointed and who worked in the Trump campaign. And it is really quite funny. I mean, there's nothing wrong with Meineke Muffler. I would take my car there. But does a guy who ran the Meineke Muffler branch in Seabrook, New Hampshire, belong making energy policy? I don't know what he knows about energy policy, but Americans could be confident knowing that as long as he was there, they were not going to pay a lot for that muffler.
What about this guy Buttigieg? Sid Buttigieg.
I think that's the very one. It appears that he moonlighted a bit as a massage therapist as well. We have the cabana boy has gone to the USDA along with a maker of scented candles and a trucker.
That makes you go,
The bartender has gone to HUD, and that's very important because a bartender would certainly be able to help the HUD secretary who happens to be a retired brain surgeon. So all of these people may be qualified in their own right. They just don't seem to be qualified for the positions that he's put him in. It's a little bit like we're watching an episode of The Apprentice, and everything's gone a bit haywire.
All kidding aside, obviously we all know about your credentials and breadth of experience. For example, no, seriously, just recently in an episode of Celebrity Apprentice at the steakhouse, the men's cooking team did not impress the judges from Omaha Steaks. And there was a lot of blame to go around, but you, Mr. Trump, recognized that the real problem was a lack of leadership. And so ultimately you didn't blame Little John or Meatloaf. You fired Gary Busey. And these are the kind of decisions that would keep me up at night. Well handled, sir. Well handled.
Here's a factoid that everybody listening right now and watching will never forget. Today, Secretary of Energy Rick Perry said that fossil fuels play a role in preventing sexual assault.
From the standpoint of sexual assault, when the lights are on, when you have light, it shines the righteousness, if you will, on those types of acts. So from the standpoint of how you really affect people's lives, fossil fuels is going to play a role in that. I happen to think it's going to play a positive role.
Is he speaking metaphorically? It sheds righteousness I mean, this is Chauncey Gardner out of being there. I mean, this is the Secretary of Energy. This is the guy who couldn't remember the 3 departments he was going to get rid of. And here he is saying he's figured out the metaphysical connection between light and avoiding evil.
Say what you will about Mr. Trump. He certainly would bring some change to the White House. Let's see what we've got up there.